Hello, beloved. It's time for sacred reading again during the week. We try to do this once a week where we gather together for sacred reading. I'm James, and let me tell you a little bit about sacred reading. Sacred reading, you might be more familiar with it from the Latin Lectio Divina, but I just call it sacred reading because it is indeed that. We begin with a sacred text, a text that has the potential to speak to us, that has the potential to let Spirit speak to us. After all sacred texts point to something beyond themselves. The texts point to the infinite, the eternal, what really matters, ultimate truth. And so we listen closely, believing that the ultimate can be spoken into our lives at any moment, in any place, at any time. And if we enter with intention to hear what it has to say, to hear what Spirit will speak into our lives, we might be surprised by what we discover, what we hear, what we come to know. So here we are. We are reading our way through the first letter of John. We're in chapter 4, and today we're just taking a look at one verse. It's verse 18. Now, if you practice sacred reading on your own, I encourage you to try it this way. Find a quiet moment when you can catch your breath, and then read whatever text you've chosen to yourself. Shorter is often better, but you can read as long as you want. Read it aloud to yourself 3 times with a pause in between. Let the images and the words and the phrases wash over you, and listen for which one sort of rises to the top. What is arising in that moment? Listen with the ears of your heart, not just with what your mind wants to hear or confirmation of what you may already bring to the text, but what you need to hear right now. It might be encouragement. It might be enlightening. It might be an aha, catch you out moment. Whatever it is, expect that Spirit will show up in the moment. So let's turn to our reading for today. Catch your breath. Maybe a simple, deep breath. Let it go. Listen here for a word. Where love is, there can be no fear. For mature love drives all fear away. Fear comes from the thought of punishment. So love has not yet matured in those who continue to be afraid. Let's listen a second time together. Where love is, there can be no fear, for mature love drives all fear away. Fear comes from the thought of punishment. So love has not yet matured in those who continue to be afraid. Wow. I say wow because see so much fear in the world. And I feel fear myself at times. I have some fears. And so when I look at the world and I see through the lens of fear, I'm not really seeing the world. I'm seeing with the anticipation of what I need to be afraid of. It doesn't allow a real seeing. But if love grows up in me, this text tells me, if love grows up in me, becomes mature, then it sets aside fear. Then it pushes out fear. There's no room for fear in love. Now, When I think about it, and knowing people as I do that are afraid for a variety of reasons, there's lots of things that create fear in us today. If you're from the United States of America, you might have fear for the political outcome, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. No matter what political party you find yourself in, you may look at the world and look through the lens of fear. What will happen after a national election? If you are concerned about the planet and the slow increase in temperature, you may find yourself afraid. Fear becomes, as one of my favorite high school science fiction books, Dune, Fear is the Mind Killer. It stops us from engaging the world. I mean, it's part of our wiring. Evolution has built into us the fear response, and it comes from our bodies and signals that we get, causes us to freeze, causes us to run away or to fight. Seen a lot of that recently? Seen any of that recently? That's what it does. Love does something else. Love does something else, but it's harder to engage love. It's much easier to be afraid. It's much easier to fight or to run away than to try to see the other, to try to see from the other's perspective. And I can say these things because it's absolutely true about me. And I suspect, if we're honest, it's absolutely true about all of us. At some point, and sometimes, we are frozen in fear. We want to fight somebody because we're afraid of the outcomes. We want to run away to avoid what we fear. Love kind of pushes that back. It invites a kind of risking that fear tells us not to do. Risking of ourself, of being vulnerable, of listening to the other, the potential to be changed and transformed by the conversations we have and by what others have to say to us. Fear is very easy. It's a very easy motivator. It's very primal. But if love indeed is the fabric of our world, the fabric of the universe, the energy that holds it all together in the spaces, the relational connection of it all, love pushes out that fear. Mature love, grown-up love, pushes aside the fear, changes the perspective we have and hold the world in. So that was my thought from what I read today. I encourage you to read it. You can respond in our social media if you want to what you heard in the text about fear, about love, about how it affects your life or the world in which you live. I encourage you to share those things. Whether you share them with us or share them with someone else somewhere, just be mindful. 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. So until the next time I see you, remember you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are.